thought she's talking out just the very front of her mouth and then got all this musculature across her face. I mean, I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't mean to just analyze you and your facial structure. After just meeting you. Hi, welcome to the Palaeocast Gaming Network. I'm Caitlin, and I'm a paleontologist. And today I'm going to be playing a game from 1995 called Lost Eden. Let's take a look.
My name is Eloy, and I am old. These days, I'm content to look out at the world from high in the White Arch. But when I was younger, I traveled the world and saw many great wonders. And of all the tales I could tell, none is more wonderful than that of Adam, Prince of Mo.
So already we've got a pterosaur in a dinosaur game, which is not actually a dinosaur, but they did live at the same time as them, so I'll forgive it that. Oh cool, some sauropod dinosaurs, a bit bendy necks by the looks of it, and some plesiosaurs with their heads out of the water for some reason. They wouldn't have actually swum like that. I think most people could have probably guessed that. And our pterosaurs look like pteranodon. That's because they've got that big head crest out the back.
In those times, the Tyran were once again on the rampage, thirsty for blood and carnage. Their leader was the dreaded Marcus Rex. The years of uneasy peace had come to an end.
So it looks like the Tyran are supposed to be some sort of tyrannosaur. Stegosaurus skeleton there. Very big Stegosaurus skeleton. Look at the size of it. Pterosaurs are normally 7-meter wingspans. I mean, pteranodons were. And that Stegosaurus shouldn't have been that big. And now we've got another sauropod dinosaur with a bridge on its back.
The trust that had once united humans and dinosaurs was lost, and none could stem the pitiless tide that swept down from the north.
I mean, the mixture of 2D and 3D is interesting. The 3D models definitely aren't as good as the 2D art. And they've probably done that on purpose, I'd say. That would be terrifying, hanging out over a cliff on a sauropod neck. You want to trust it. This actually seems like a hardcore Dinotopia. If you've ever read the books or played the Dinotopia game, it's like a, well, Eden type world.
In all the lands, there was but one place of safety, the citadel at Mo, in the kingdom of Mashar.
This is a very, very long intro. I don't mind this detailed backstory, but it's quite long.
King Gregor, Adam's father, brooded within the castle's massive walls, unwilling or unable to see that Marcus Rex would never stop until the whole world lay bleeding at his feet.
And there's the world that looks like a late Jurassic, early Cretaceous arrangement of continents there. Okay, that's the story of Lost Eden. So as I was saying before, those pterosaurs are most likely going to be pteranodon because of the shape of the head crests. And again, the plesiosaurs with the heads above the water. Why is that? That poor sauropod has a very bendy neck. Some bipedal dinosaurs, maybe they're ornithopod, like plant-eating dinosaurs.
My story begins on the very day Prince Adam came of age. I had just arrived at Mo with grave news from the north.
Okay, now we're in the beginning of Lost Eden after that very long intro. And with some really cool music. I wasn't expecting the music to be this cool. Well, I think it's cool anyway. Seems like there's people in here, and I'm a person, obviously.
Adam, Counselor Monk look for you. King want you in the throne room.
Alright, definitely not a dinosaur. Maybe, I don't know whether it's supposed to be different evolutionary stages of people, or maybe some like sort of bipedally humanoid dinosaur. I'm not sure.
Ah, Prince Adam, it's a great honor to meet you.
There's our pteranodon.
Adam, my son, I asked old Monk to send you here. I fear this day of your coming of age will not be the joyous occasion we had planned. This is Eloy, and he brings grave news from the north. Eloy?
My lords, the city of Shamar has been attacked and destroyed by the tyrant. The humans there have been slaughtered and taken for food. There are few survivors.
He's got pretty funny fuzzy eyebrows by the looks of it, and that's normally a like a mammalian thing, having hairy eyebrows. And definitely in the intro video when they're making him look like an old man, the way that they were so bushy and grey. But having feathery kind of structures on a pterosaur might not be that far off the mark. There have been some fossils found with pterosaur sort of feather-like structures.
Shamar destroyed. It seems Murkus Rex and his Tyran hordes will not rest until the whole world has been turned to blood and ashes.
Such upbeat music for such dire news. I kind of want to say, guys, turn down the soundtrack, okay? Because Eloy has come with some grave news of some murders and people being captured. And then there's this banging music. Okay, so that's Eloy there. So yeah, pterosaurs, according to the research I've read anyway, they wouldn't have stood on their back feet like that with his arms in the air, kind of like some petrified bat. There's trackway fossils of pterosaurs, and you can see that they've actually used all four, like their hands and their feet, as they've walked along.
Forgive me for entering your room, Prince Adam, but I have a message which should not reach the king's ears. The female Dina wishes urgently to speak with you outside.
Female Dina. Is that do you mean a female pteranodon? Or like a human woman?
She has unlocked the gate to the side entrance, so you'll be able to slip out without being seen. It's my duty as a guest of your father to remind you of his wishes.
But also just ignore those wishes, please. Yeah, so this pterosaur should actually be, if his hands are up here, they should be on the ground with the wings sort of folded back and up, if you know what I mean. So his elbows pointing up in the air instead of down. And it kind of looks a bit creepy in my room like that. Just looks like another a bit of decoration. There's a skull, there's a bear rug, and a pteranodon plastered on the wall. Right. So to go down the corridor, you face forward and you walk forward, as one would imagine. But to go back along the corridor, it looks like you have to keep facing forwards, but go backwards. Okay. Parasaurolophus.
Adam, you have come. My grandfather Tau is dying and begs to speak with you. Let me take you to him. No one will see us.
It's got an interesting facial structure for Parasaurolophus. So they're a plant-eating dinosaur that had a big tubey sort of crest that came off the back of the head. Actually a dinosaur, unlike the pteranodon. But for some reason they've got the muscles of the face. Their jaws did have this dip underneath the orbit where the eye is, around where the cheek, if you could call it that, is, and it goes up to the mouth. But it's like she's talking out just the very front of her mouth and then got all this musculature across her face. I mean, I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't mean to just analyze you and your facial structure after just meeting you. Oh, there he is. Now the Parasaurolophus.
Ah, you have come.
And in spite of your father's orders, I respect his feelings. But there are things that I must tell you while there is still time. You must go to the crypts. My granddaughter will go with you. She knows the way. And she understands those whom you may not.
I hope she doesn't mind being volunteered for that.
It is true. I have the gift of understanding those who speak in strange tongues.
Before I depart this life, I want to give you this shell. It is an object of power.
Okay.
At least he died contentedly, with hope for the future.
Oh, that's kind of sad. In a way, this is definitely a gritty version of Dinotopia in the sense that we've started out the game with dinosaurs and humans living together and talking to one another. But at the same time, there's war going on, death and destruction. There's been news of people being slaughtered, and then we've just gone and visited someone who's died almost immediately from natural causes. But
Grandfather Tao treasured that knife. It once belonged to Gra himself and bears his mark.
So I guess you won't mind if I just take it? Nope. Okay. Sorry, I'm just so used to clicking on things in games, and then sometimes you realise that you just stole something out of a dead man's room. Sorry, dude. Oh, if I click up here, I might be able to get a better look. Okay, so there's our Parasaurolophus. So yeah, not a bad design of the body. Again, like a lot of artistic license taken around with the way the skull's looking, but that could just be like a parallax issue with her sort of half facing its head, half turned away. But in any case, it's clearly Parasaurolophus, and this is a talking dinosaur that's living alongside humans, so I'm not actually that worried about how realistic it is in that sense. It's just always interesting to see how artists represent things that were once living.
Poor Grandfather Tao. I loved him deeply.
The voice acting's not that bad either, honestly. Again, for this era of game, this style of game.
Good day, Monk. You're looking well.
Dina, it's too long since I saw you last. I heard your grandfather was ill. I hope he is recovering.
Looks really shifty if you say, I hope he's recovering, and look shiftily to the side. Just a hot tip there.
Grandfather Tao's spirit has traveled to the Valley of Mists. Adam and I were with him when he died.
Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. We all respected him.
Stop looking sideways while you say that.
You are my only surviving child. Lucas Rex, the tyrann destroyer of man and dinosaurs. The tyrann killed your mother and your sister, your mom, your monsoul. I realize then how foolish we were to dream of resistance.
20 minutes later.
Yes, so extremely long explanation, but humans and dinosaurs used to get along, and then my great-grandfather stuffed it up. I had assumed this whole time, actually, that dinosaurs and people were still getting along, but obviously not. Maybe we're only friends with the pteranodons.
The trumpet was Grandfather's idea. Moorkong made sounds like that. When he died, Tao replaced him with an iguana who blows the trumpet to frighten intruders away. It sounds like Moorkong is still alive.
I'm sorry, Dina, but that is not an iguana. That is definitely not an iguana, just FYI. So she might have meant iguanodon, which was a type of dinosaur, but that doesn't really look like an iguanodon either. It's way too skinny. Yeah, it could be standing on two legs like that, but its tail should be coming out the back here. It should have a rectangular shaped broader head. It was a herbivore, so it was grinding up leaves and other plant material. And you could potentially see thumb spikes.
These are the frescoes your father refused to look at. Look. One shows dinosaurs building a citadel for humans. They built many. The Tyrann had good cause to fear us. The secret of Gra is here, Adam. He and your ancestor, the architect, realized that strength lay in combining our forces. Now that you've learned the architect's secrets, I can give you his flute. You must use it to build citadels. What spellbinding music, Adam.
I'm sure it's just the audio quality they recorded it on. It didn't sound that great, but thank you very much, Dina.
What? Spying on me? Soon your brittle little bones will bleach beneath the Terran sun.
That was terrifying. Morcus Rex, leader of the Terran, presumably supposed to be some sort of tyrannosaur, but really didn't look like it in that cutaway, so maybe it's some other half
I felt his thirst
morphed
for
creature into
killing.
something else.
You have seen the enemy, my lord.
1 hour later.
Okay, so that entire bit of dialogue there was basically just describing how the king didn't want to go out and wage war. The monk said to him that we should, otherwise we're going to be under the thumb of the tyrant Morcus Rex anyway. So then he went, well, okay, yes, off you go. And so I'm going to rally together all the dinosaurs and we're going to go out and wage war. So I think that means I can finally leave this citadel.
Show me where you want to go. Let's go to Shamar. This is the Valley of Shamar, Prince Adam, and this is Mongo, a friend. With your permission, I will take my leave of you now. Prince Adam of Mo, greetings.
Alright, another Parasaurolophus that looks a little bit different to Dina. Oh, I think something's going to happen. There's our Pteranodon flying. Ah, Sauropod dinosaurs! Okay. Our first proper Sauropod dinosaurs of the game that aren't just in a carving on the wall.
Here are Brontosaurus, my lord, the builders of citadels.
Brontosaurus. Alright. Now, fun fact about Brontosaurus. A couple of years ago, me and any other paleontologist would have told you that Brontosaurus doesn't exist. Brontosaurus is not an accurate dinosaur name to use because it was actually misidentified and turned out to be Apatosaurus. So the name didn't mean anything anymore, but it stuck around in pop culture and people couldn't stop using the name Brontosaurus for any dinosaur with a long neck that they saw. So there I was, and a lot of other paleontologists were busy telling people Brontosaurus isn't real, Brontosaurus doesn't exist. And then, not long ago, some paleontologists found some bones and described them, and they were really similar to that original description of Brontosaurus and what the people thought were the differences between that and Apatosaurus. So they thought, well, why not bring back the name Brontosaurus and then it can be back in circulation. And I personally, when I first heard this, I was pretty annoyed because now people were going to think that they shouldn't be using the name Brontosaurus, but now they should be again. It is accurate and get confused. But at the end of the day, that is not a big problem to have at all. It was just a pretty funny thing. At the time that this game was made in 1995, it would have been incorrect to say Brontosaurus because that name wasn't valid then. So it's so funny recording this now in 2020 and being able to say, yes, there is an accuracy in this game. Brontosaurus is a dinosaur that existed. And I'll just say another thing about the way these Brontosaurus look. So the neck is far too bendy. There shouldn't be that sort of S bend that you might see a bit more in a Brachiosaurus with its head held up high. This Brontosaurus's neck should be held much straighter and almost parallel with the ground. And the same with the tail. The tail should be held up off the ground, almost parallel to it. And then the other thing is its back legs. See that the way that its knee's bending, that would put so much strain on the knee. It'd be really, really uncomfortable to stand like that all day. And of course there are lizards that have this sprawled gait, that have bent knees, but their legs are set out to the side of the body. And these sauropod dinosaurs had their legs underneath them, so they would have actually been a lot straighter. Because if you think about just the sheer weight of that animal and the legs need to act like columns on a building. They need to go straight up and down to take all of that stress and strain and push it down all the way through the length of the leg, and not have this bend where we're putting so much strain on the knee to try and hold the body up constantly. So the legs should look a lot straighter. Now I've skipped over some parts of the game again because I'm more interested in talking about the dinosaurs in the game than showing you the gameplay, or lack thereof, which is a lot of clicking back and forth between windows of a map in this world and looking for stuff. And in this case, it's looking for a mushroom to feed the Brontosaurus because apparently that's their favorite food. And they could have eaten mushrooms. I don't suppose why not. Their teeth are these not needles and sharp, but these long straight shape, and they were much better suited to stripping leaves off of branches of bushes or trees than perhaps squishing up fungi. But I don't think that would have presented too much of a problem for them. So they could have even just swallowed them whole, who knows. So it's plausible that a Brontosaurus's favourite food could be a type of mushroom.
Without the help of Chong and his people.
Another humanoid race.
So,
Oh, it's a
you
marmoset.
are Prince Adam of Mo. My friend Mungo has spoken much of you.
It's got such a deep voice, a very cute looking face.
My lord, this is Chong. His people are the Shorians. They have suffered terribly at the hands of Morcus Rex.
The tyrant are merciless. In their last attack, half our people were slaughtered. We must avenge their deaths. We will defend our fortress, but we cannot build it without the science of the Brontosaurus. I don't know how to persuade them.
It's cool that he's referring to the science of the Brontosaurus rather than just their brute force and strength. Because that's another thing I found jarring with Dinotopia. Yes, I'm bringing it up again, but there's so many similarities. With Dinotopia, the dinosaurs were beasts of burden. They were carting food around, they were being ridden by people, they were helping them build things, but just with their strength. And it never felt like an equal society thing to me. Although they were supposed to be like humans and dinosaurs are equals, it just seemed like they were being used as beasts of burden and were okay with it.
Thank you for your gift of friendship, my lord. They hail you as the bringer of hope, a legendary hero in their lore. With the help of Chong and his followers, the Brontosaurus will build a modest citadel in this place. To make a mightier fortress, they will need the skills of the Triceratops.
Triceratops, okay, so we're at least going to see one other type of dinosaur in this game.
The very first citadel was built in the forest of Shamar. The Shorians could now defend their valley against the tyrant.
I mean, we haven't met the tyrant yet, which I'm presuming is a Tyrannosaurus. They're really waving their heads back and forth, and I just don't see any evidence for that sort of movement in the fossil record from people researching these dinosaurs. It would be super uncomfortable to be the person seated on the back of the neck of that Brontosaurus. I don't think you would choose to sit there and have its head wave around.
There's a valley to the northeast, my lord. It's a place of great strategic value. I suggest you build another citadel there.
We must find a Palaeosaurus to transport us. On foot, we will never reach that valley.
Palaeosaurus, it's really interesting because we were just talking about how Brontosaurus for the longest time was not considered a valid name anymore for any type of dinosaur, and then got brought back. And the reason why it wasn't considered valid for the longest time was because that original fossil was actually an Apatosaurus, but then we're going to meet some Apatosaurus anyway. So if in the game they make them look very, very similar, then I'm not going to be that mad about it.
The Mosasaurus live in lakes. Sometimes, when you throw an apple into the water, you'll get one to come. Apples are a rare and precious delicacy for them. The Mosasaurus know many things about the Tyrant and their ways.
It's so funny that she's pronouncing Mosasaurus as Musasaurus, because that's actually the name of a dinosaur, Musasaurus. It's this teeny tiny little sauropod type dinosaur that lived in the late Triassic, but she's actually talking about Mosasaurus, which is not a dinosaur, it's a marine reptile. Whoa, alright, that's a little terrifying looking, especially when it's clacking its jaws like that. Why?
He tells us that the tyrant in this valley fear the eye in the storm.
Okay.
I don't really understand that.
I'm glad you're honest. But yeah, that Mosasaurus is quite bizarre looking. I mean, that's not a hydrodynamic design. What I mean by that is that having that bumpy skin is not going to be the best if you're trying to move really, really fast underwater. It's much better to have smooth skin so you can glide through the water with as little friction as possible. Oh, maybe these are the apatosaurs. They actually look like they had straighter necks and a more correct posture than the brontosaurus.
These are apatosaurus. They are tireless transporters. They can take you to the farthest corners of the world.
Look, different views. Oh, are these tyrannosaurs? Look at those bunny hands. The hand posture needs to be flipped around. They're very light on their feet, that's for sure.
Lord Adam, these are Tyran.
Technically, I suppose they are not Tyrannosaurus because they didn't say that. They said they're Tyran. So that's different. Well, I guess we'll end it there for the moment. We still haven't found our Triceratops. We haven't met Morcus Rex, and I'm not sure how many other dinosaurs there are going to be in this game, but I hope to find some more. It's interesting when you go and play a game that is from quite a few years ago that you never played before, so there's no nostalgia carrying you through. The way that the dinosaurs are represented in this game, it's not super realistic, but it's not trying to be a real representation of the world, because it's obviously not. Dinosaurs can talk and they're living alongside humans, and neither of those things happened. So I'm happy with the artistic license that the artists have taken in this game to make those dinosaurs look interesting and different. Obviously, it's always going to be better the closer to reality that you are. Slipping in the word Brontosaurus is pretty interesting because that would have been a big no-no, except now it is technically correct. So as time has gone on, the game has actually gotten a tiny bit more accurate, weirdly enough. For this game, I'm not going to pick on it for not having feathered dinosaurs. That just wasn't the norm in the mid-90s, so they were accurately representing those dinosaurs for the time period that they were in. Thanks so much for watching this video. Keep an eye out for more videos like this on the Palaeocast Gaming Network.